Hello, dear chess friends. You're welcome to Banter Blitz. This week I do this on Thursday instead of Friday, just because of the Bundesliga. So this weekend I'm going to play again. That's why tomorrow it would be very complicated for me to do this late Banter Blitz edition. So let's try to do this today. It was, by the way, a very bad week. I mean, a lot of non-chess, overwhelming stuff in my life. The only bright moment was probably a training Tuesday, so the premium show I do every Tuesday. Premium means for premium users of Chess24. So I think that episode was quite instructive and entertaining. As for everything else, well, it was quite sad. So today my primary goal is to play at least on the level of candidate master, okay? Stream works perfect in Western Deutschland. Okay, good. So, let's see if we have some guys I've never played before. There should be somebody. So, Butterfly, Kramnik student, Johann Wilhelm Möbes, autograph. Yeah, we already played once. And Urfeuer. We have never played before. Premium user 5 minutes accept. Okay, so it's a bit laggy on my side. Honestly. So back to the game. Come on. What's going on? I'm still kind of playing against Casper, which is strange. So just a second. Alright, let's try to make a move. No, it doesn't work. Some technical problems on my side here. What to do in this situation? So if I refresh the page, maybe there will be some problems. Which challenges, I'm not sure. But let's try. Because I can't see any other option. Now it's loading. Okay. No, this is just awful. What is that supposed to be? Very strange thing. All right, let's try to refresh it again. No, that doesn't help. It doesn't really help. Okay, let's try this again. Let us accept another challenge. So now we have played already. Moby, Great Blunder. Yeah, let's try to play against Great Blunder. So accept. Fantastic. So do you think this side is down? I don't think so. So tell me if you experience the same problem. I mean, so it's loading slow or something like that, because probably it's just my problem. That's strange. Very strange. So video and audio works, yes. So that is good. So this means I have no problems with my connection or something. That is definitely something with the server right now. I don't know. So La Roca says I have played the game a few minutes before. Very strange. Oh, that is what happens when you try to broadcast not on Friday. So let's try to play Urfoyer again. Nah, it's just not loading completely, so it's like absolutely wrong. I don't know what to do even. No. Come on. All right, so I will try to fix this problem. So I will come back in several minutes. I hope it will be changed somehow. So I will try several things. So just stay tuned, okay? I'm sorry for that. So we'll be back. All right, so it looks like, well, I managed. So we started playing with Urfor. Just let me know if the stream is well. So knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, Italian game. No, there is the Evans gambit. c3. All right. Bishop a5. Stream looks good. Well, so I'm sorry for this, but it doesn't feel like my fault actually, but I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong. So d4. All right. I wanted to try this interesting move. Bishop takes f7. Wow. That is something. Something looking dubious to me. But anyway, my e5 is under attack, so I have to do something with this. There is a threat of queen b3. The threat of d5. A lot of threats. On the other hand, it doesn't feel like I'm in a very bad shape in the sense of development. So my only problem here is my king. So let's see what to do here. What about just playing d5? I know it's crazy, slightly, but with the help of d5, I prepare the development of my light squared bishop. At least I control g4 square. And also I solve the problem of d4, d5. So this move makes sense in my opinion. So now where to put the king? Let's try e8. Just going away. Very strange position. A very interesting one. So white is attacking with only one knight. I would say trying to attack. But the center may be opened very soon. Alright, this gives me a tempo. I don't think that queen h5 was very dangerous in general. But at least it provoked some weaknesses. Some new weaknesses, I would say. b5 is under attack now. How should I continue my development? I wanted actually to put the knight on e7. Is it a good idea or not? I'm not sure, but let's do it. So the point that I protect my knight c6 here. Queen takes b5 and nothing is hanging. In fact, everything is protected. So I can play rook b8 for instance. Yeah, let's play rook b8, just a normal development move. Attacking the queen. That's a crazy position. Absolutely. A crazy one. So now h6 looks interesting. But then knight f3 attacking my e5 pawn because my knight c6 is pinned. So maybe just bishop d7. And let's try bishop to d7. This looks not that bad. Of course I would be happy just to make castling here, but I can't do this because my king already moved. And it's not clear where to go with this king, so I'd say This position is slightly annoying. But okay. Let's play on. At least all my pieces look active now. And I'm better developed, which is strange. Queen c4. Okay. Knight on d5 is hanging. The issue here is that if my knight d5 moves, there is a queen f7 checkmate. It's clear. So I have two candidates here. So the solid one, like knight c6 to e7, protecting knight d5, and a counter attack based on h6 here. But if h6, then knight goes to e4, I think it will be just a help. So the knight will be relocated and it will occupy a very good position. So I will choose this one. Just knight to e7, protecting my knight on d5. Knight a3, protecting b5 square, but dropping c3 pawn. And I think it makes sense for me just to take here. Why not? Attacking the rook and simplifying position after this. Also taking this pawn. Looks nice. All my pieces are centralized now, all of a sudden. So now it's time to do something with this knight g5, I guess. Or maybe just queen to b8. Creating a sort of bishop b5. Don't know. Position is interesting. Non-standard. Now let's play h6. I don't like this knight. On g5, attacking f7 square, so let's get rid of it. Alright, I guess it makes sense for me to protect this bishop additionally. Yeah. Quite solid, but only 27 seconds. That was probably the main bet. To outplay me this way, just using the time factor. Yeah, which is a good try. Yeah, great strategy. I mean, I have no time to make decisions and I made a blunder. Oops. Yeah. I'm going to lose this, I think. Fantastic. And queen g4, then rook f5, all right. Yeah, lost on time. All right. So this position is, of course, winning for black because of queen e1, queen e, and takes on f2 with very soon, with the checkmate very soon. But anyway, lost in time. Very interesting game. So just bishop f7, Position is unclear, and well, I have to spend the time thinking here because white just makes active moves, nothing special. But I have to calculate a lot, and I'm losing on time at some point. But alright. Anyway, of course it's not a correct sacrifice. Here's nothing to discuss. So let's go further. Let's go further. Now challenges work. So very nice to start the session with the loss and some technical problems. But okay, we will try to improve the situation now. So great blunder. So let's play against great blunder. So Rui Lopez and Janish contra gambit. And d6, okay. d6 is slightly passive, but very, very solid. And probably also the way to play this. Now it's very tempting to try something like d4 though. Since the knight is pinned, well, d4 looks very, very natural. I guess just knight takes f6. Queen takes. And I have a good choice between, for example, taking on e5 here and playing d4, d5 also. Normal positional continuation. I guess simple capture on e5 should be just fine. Why not? So there will be an isolated pawn, I guess. I will have a clearer plan of playing against this pawn, just attacking it, and so on. So what to do? To take on e5 with the pawn or maybe with the knight? If knight takes, then knight takes. And bishop on d7 is under pressure. So probably, yeah, taking with the pawn. And now if I take on c6, bishop takes c6, and I take on e5, black simply castles long, and I think black has a good compensation. So I don't really want to take this pawn, at least at the moment. So which move to make instead? Maybe just a castle will be fine. Yeah, let's castle. Let's start with this normal developing move. Also preparing something active like rook d1 or maybe rook e1 or something. Alright, bishop d6, so black is ready to castle short. Does it make sense to prevent it with the help of, let's say, bishop c4 or queen c4? I'm not sure. Because if I play bishop c4, there is bishop g4 possibility. In which case, of course, I have bishop d5, but position is not clear there with this pin. And black can castle long after that when the bishop is on g4 already. So maybe just to play knight at g5. Knight at g5 looks interesting. Just a maneuver leading to e4 square, which is my target here. Okay, let's play this. So very good blockading position. On e4, great outpost. Not maybe the outpost, just a good blockading square. The bishop on d6 will be passive once my knight appears on e4. It will be also quite useful for me to spend the time on c3 move at some point. Covering d4, making knight c6 also quite passive piece. And castle's long after all. Well, maybe it makes sense. So now black is more or less okay with playing knight at d4. So probably if I want to play c3, it is exactly the best moment. So let's play c3. This move not only covers d4 square, this also prepares b4, which can be my plan here because we have position with opposing side castlings. So now, just to play b4, a4, to improve position this way, to put the bishop on e3 maybe, at some point, maybe right now, don't know, or just to start with knight e4. I guess we'll start with knight e4 move. Why not? Blockading pawn e5 because probably black could have sacrificed this pawn with the help of e4, opening up a position. Yes, long term white has an advantage. The other question is this advantage big or not? I think it is quite a annoying advantage. So let's play this. Grabbing even more space. All black's minor pieces are potentially very bad. Some of them are already quite bad. So bishop d6, let's say. Bishop d7 is not that bad, but also not very active at the same time. And I guess black simply has no attack on the king side. It will be very hard for black to arrange anything. So knight to b8. I can take on d7 if I want, but this will help black with the coordination. So I will step back. Moreover, it is a tempo move, right? And I will continue pushing my pawns there. So b5 now. Looks like a move. Grabbing c6 square. And also preparing just a5 and so forth. Okay, let's go on with this plan. So now maybe I just want to play b6, by the way. Because c7 pawn, as you can see, protects the bishop d6. So this can be a very annoying move. a6 is also very tempting to play. Rook to d1 is also a move. A lot of interesting possibilities for white here. I don't know which one is better. Bishop to e3 is also an interesting move. Look at this. Yeah, let's play bishop e3. Because if queen takes my knight, I just take on e6 and I have pair of bishops in addition to all the advantages of this position. And if bishop takes c4, okay, queen takes c4 and I protect the knight on e4. And now simply a7 is hanging, so I guess white is very close to winning the game. And where is the great blunder? I'm just waiting for a blunder, my friend. Alright, I can take it. And here is the blunder, right? So bishop takes b6 is possible. And just grab the pawn. Alright. Many different ways leading to a win, I guess. Let's start with rook a7, just the normal activation of the rook. Attacking c7 additionally. So this poor knight on b8 does nothing, absolutely. So let's take this. Check. Forcing the king to e7 now. Grabbing this. Well. Let's keep it simple. Do know this check. Let's take the queen just to clarify the things. Of course, there was a checkmate by force, but I just decided to grab the queen to show that there is no chance for my opponent to survive it. All right, so I'm not sure that d6 is a good idea. As far as I remember, bishop e7 is the main move here, just preparing castling quickly. And in many cases, black is okay to sacrifice the e5 pawn, but to have a compensation after quick development. d6, well, it gives me a chance to play d4, and I think it is very good for white. Bishop d7 takes here, queen takes, and well, why not to take on e5? d5 was also an interesting idea. So probably if black doesn't want to lose the right to castle, he has to play this. In which case, I can also just take on d7 and play knight g5, or I can try knight g5 immediately, because if bishop takes b5, then queen takes b5 check and b7 drops. That is very annoying, and we can see that I'm going to occupy e6. The only issue with this order of moves is, of course, c6 move, which makes position not that clear. So probably I'm still better after knight e4, probably not. So most likely, well, to keep it simple, just bishop takes d7 should be played, knight takes d7, and now knight goes to g5. So it is a typical situation. It looks like an equal position. In fact, white is better because of this bishop. So this bishop is constantly passive, limited with own pawns. There is a great weakness of light squares in black's camp, so I can put my knight on e6. I can simply put my knight on e4, just like in our game, a great blockading position. And once my knight is on e4, black has no counterplay on the king side, while I have very simple plan of like c4, c5. I mean, prepared carefully with b4 as well, and so forth. So this is also a very good position, but I think the way I played was also absolutely acceptable. So if knight takes e5 in this position, then I can take on e5, and after queen e5, well, I have a slight advantage, like bishop d7, king d7, takes. Again, my bishop is better, and my pawn structure is better, so I'm surely better here. I guess something simple should do, something like castling followed by rook d1, maybe just king e2. It's a good idea, I think, to start with bishop e3, just controlling c5 square and preventing bishop f8 to c5, and so forth. So yeah, this position is just good. Let's come back to d takes e5, which was played in the game, and I just castled knight to g5, and so on. So I actually expected something like bishop c5, in which case I can play almost the same way like in the game. So just c3, controlling d4 square, b4, a4, at the same time moving my knight to e4 with a good position, and I think potentially with a great advantage. So the key to understanding this position is just the difference in the power of minor pieces. So all minor pieces are of white are active, and black's minor pieces just struggle to find any good squares and useful work on the board. That's the idea. Okay, let's go further. One more game against the guy I've never played before. So here is Dan, or maybe Dan, from Romania. Let's accept. And I wish black. White to move. And the closed opening. Probably, yeah, there will be Catalan. So after c6, by the way, it is very hard for white to avoid closed Catalan. Almost impossible. And here we are. That is a transposition. Transposition to closed Catalan. And this b3 I usually like to mate with this a5 move. Multi-purpose one, just intending to play a4 at some point. Alright, knight is on c3, which means that it's time to bring the bishop to a6, attacking c4 pawn. And by the way, after a5, my bishop on a6 feels slightly more comfortable if compared to bishop a6 when the pawn is on a7. So it is kind of covered from different attacks from a4, let's say. So let's continue development. Zweifelsex says recently saw a trailer of an interesting DVD for closed Catalan. Yep. Not a bad one, right? D takes c4 should be played now. And that was my mistake, I guess. So this knight e7 is probably not very sound because now knight e5 is coming, but most likely it is not that dangerous. So dc4, knight e5, I take d5 and knight e7. I don't think white has a chance to exploit this penal on the d file. e5 will be heading very soon, so yeah, it's okay for me to play this way. So that is a typical thing, to take pawn on c4 exactly after e2, e4 move, because now diagonal h1, a8 is not opened anymore, so this bishop doesn't have this direct pressure on my c6 pawn. And if white plays e5, alright, my knight goes to d5. That's the point. Okay, bishop b2 instead. Completing a development. And the difference again between this position and the same but with the pawn on a7, that probably I can take on b3 without much problems, because my bishop won't be hanging there. Yeah, so let's just take this pawn. And what to do now? Just to play queen c7 or maybe rook c8 to start with, protecting this c6. And well, now I'm a pawn up, but white definitely has a compensation because he controls the center. But it's a big question if this compensation is sufficient. Alright. So now let's put the queen on c7. Go away from these knight e5 jumps and so forth. Okay. How to improve my position? I can play e5 at some point, but I don't think it is sound right now because I'm not prepared. It feels like that. So let's start with bishop b4 first. Occupying very good safe position, pinning the knight c3 and preventing something like d4, d5, because in this case I think I can simply take on d5 without problems. Knight is pinned. Knight to e1. Alright, probably moving knight to d3, where it will be most likely just captured. Or maybe not, I don't know. Let's start with the h6 move. Waiting a bit. I want to see what white wants to do here. So knight is on d3. Pawn d4 lacks a defense, but that is probably not a big issue for white. So to take on d3 or not to take? That can be just a good idea. To simplify position even more. But in this case, white will have pair of bishops. On the other hand, my bishop on b4 will be quite good. Now let's try. And now, for example, something like rook to e8. preparing e6, e5 maybe. If white plays e5, okay, I just play knight to d5. Position is very complicated, but I think black is doing all right here. The only potential problem is, of course, white's pair of bishops, so I have to be careful. Now there are some problems with knight b5 jump, so makes sense for me just to move my queen away. Let's try this square. f4, aggressive. And probably correct. So now it's time to undertake something in the center, I think. Let's try c5. Undermining d4. Alright, that was probably not that great. Not the right moment, I mean, for me to play this. Okay. My bishop on b4 is somewhat out of play at first glance, but it controls d2 square, preventing rook c2 to d2. So I have good chances to win the fight for the d file, maybe. Okay, let's try it. Looks interesting. So now my queen is very active all of a sudden. So now to bring the queen to e3 or just to take on b3? I don't know, but this capture looks also absolutely playable. Now rook c2 is a threat maybe. But my main idea is to bring the queen to active position somewhere on, you know, e3 maybe. Oh, rook d7 is here, come on. I've blundered simply. My goodness. There's a huge blunder. There's just a huge blunder, my god. Alright, let's go there. Yeah, could have been a great game. But I've blundered seriously. But maybe I'm still winning here, right? Because of the linear checkmate. No, there is no checkmate, come on. This could have been another blunder. No, now there is a checkmate. All right. Fantastic, fantastic finish. So I blundered on g7, but then won. Anyway, look at this interesting idea, like queen a7. Simply staying there looks like I just went away. But in fact, I had this in mind, I mean, to use this diagonal, and was just waiting for a good chance. So here, b5, c4, and so forth. So king g2, cb3. So probably cb3 wasn't the best decision, so most likely queen e3 was better, in fact. Creating this threat of queen takes c4 check, and still having this cb3 in mind. Because rook c4 is not a move because of queen e2, so rook can't go away from the second rank. And yeah. Okay. Yeah, interesting. So let's have a look on what happened in our game. So I just completely blundered this idea. Takes here, rook d7, queen e3, takes here, king f8. Yes, definitely queen d7 loses the game by force because it loses the control over e2 square. Was there a win for white? That's an interesting question. So maybe moving the king to h3 immediately, trying to run away, which is also unclear. I mean, I can take on e4 now. At very least, intending to put my queen on f5, but I can also try this. Queen to f3. Again, with the idea of queen h5, rook c2, and so forth. Here, king h4, probably playable, but I'm not sure what white wants to achieve. Maybe that was an interesting idea, because if I keep playing something like queen g2, there is no follow-up. I mean, h3 or maybe even king h5. Look at this. So queen h3 check, king goes to g6, and then hides on h7 if necessary. So king starts actually taking part in the attack. Yeah, so maybe king h3 immediately was an interesting idea. Do I have a defense here? Do I have a follow-up here? It's a great question. Position is very complicated. Most likely queen takes e4 is the best move here, and after queen d7, queen to f5 check. If king goes to g2, again, this rook c2 may be potentially very, very dangerous for white. If g4, then the third rank can be used, but, well, maybe there is no follow-up. I can't play rook c3 because bishop c3, d3 is controlled by the queen. So yeah, this is definitely lost for black. Yeah, I guess king h3. King h3 was very interesting. Very interesting here and probably just winning. Okay, as for the opening stage, after a5, I do believe that the best way for white to develop the pieces is just like bishop b2, knight d2, e4, maybe knight d2 immediately with the idea of e4. Because if compared to, for example, this line, after knight d2, bishop b7, e4, and knight here, I guess white has some sort of advantage because usually this line is based on the quick undermining activities of the center, but inclusion of the moves a5 and b3, well, it's a big question who benefits from it, white or black. I have no idea. Knight e5 is also interesting try here, just ignoring the things. Knight c3, bishop a6, rook to d1, knight d7, and e4. I think this is just fine for black long term. All right. So yeah, there is a typical initiative for this sacrifice pawn, like in each and every Catalan position. But this inclusion of the pawn on a5 followed by bishop a6 makes a big difference if compared to, for example, positions with the bishop on a6 without playing a5. For example, knight c3 here, b3, let's say knight d7, rook to d1, rook to c8, e4, d takes c4. So here it is also a very popular position. The point is that I can't really take on b3 for a long time. Let's say, just to show you, after bishop b2, cb3, ab3, like the bishop is hanging and the pawn a7 as well. This is also playable for black, but, well, in my opinion, it's better to avoid these things. And if I have the pawn on a5, well, I no longer have this problem, so I can simply take on b3, and I can have a very comfortable position. But anyway, great fight. Thanks a lot. So now I want to play against Schelling because, well, I still have some power inside and just want to try this prior to getting to the normal order of challengers. Okay. So what do we do here? b5. All right. So we have sort of King's Indian attack, right? After all this. Even after all this. Love and other nonsense we've made. Okay. So at least my opponent thinks in the opening stage, which is very rare thing when you play against Schelling. So he's like automat. A5. So all this looks like a very typical thing for King's Indian attack. So white plays on the king side, black plays on the queen side. Okay. Let us stick to typical plans. So knight usually goes to g4. There's also an interesting thing to start with h5, h6. Knight to g5 is also a typical idea, but my e5 is hanging, so I have to be very careful about that pawn. It's very important. It's like a strange version of French defense in which I didn't play d4. How we're going to attack? So h5, h6, forces g6, then knight g4, bishop g5, something like this, I guess. Let's try it. All right, so a3 is coming. If I play a3 myself, of course I weaken b3 completely. Will be a great outpost for the knight. Maybe it's not a big deal after all, I don't know. No idea. What about c4 here? Just trying to close the position. c4, dc4, dc4. Yeah, this looks not that entirely bad, but bishop takes c4, queen d7, and then rook d8 trapping my queen. Looks very annoying. Can I achieve anything there with, say, bishop g5 now? I don't think so. Yeah, it's a question. It's a question, but okay, let's try c4. Even if I don't take on d7, I think there will be something. At least I get rid of this annoying weakness on c3. Vulnerability, I mean. So now with a3, I just play b3. Can be considered as a temporary sacrifice of the pawn. But where to put the queen? Here, I think. Yeah. I have only 1 minute. Spent a lot of time. That's bad. But I think bishop c4 was principal. A principal move. This can be also okay though. But I guess now I can simply play this. Protecting c4, and I don't understand what all these pieces on the queen side are doing. Now I have very comfortable position, but I have no time. That's the biggest issue. All right, let's take. Let's go here. Something very, very typical. White is simply better here. No questions. Just more space. Almost all the pieces are better. So no questions. Oh, takes here. What is that? To take on a6 or to take on b3? I don't know. In both cases I have, like, I don't know. Okay, let's take on b3 simply. Extra minor piece, but no time. Extra minor piece and no time. All right. This is a bad decision, but I simply have no time, unfortunately, to make a better move. Now I'm going to lose this. Again. Shit. At least I had a nice position. Most likely just a winning one. Queen h5, checkmate. Was possible. Yeah. Lost again. But of course it was winning. After b3 was positionally absolutely winning. I just lost so much time on playing this c4. Like, I spent more than 1 minute. But of course, that was a good move, I guess. Because if I don't play c4, there is a3, right? It's very annoying. But after c4, somehow I'm feeling very comfortable. So I think bishop takes c4 was a move here. I don't know why Black didn't play this, because after queen d7, rook to d8, trapping the queen. So there is nothing. Maybe another rook is even better, just to avoid queen c6 on this. Some stupid things of this kind. Alright, and after rook d8, well, just queen c2, knight a5, b3, takes. Right, this is just very bad. So maybe knight g4 wasn't that accurate. Maybe something like knight e2 was better. Don't know, but knight g4 looks absolutely good. Absolutely fine. So knight takes b3. Here, I thought of taking on a6, but why not to take the piece, right? So black has some tiny compensation, but of course it's insufficient. And bishop takes h6 was like the try to make the position slightly more complicated because I simply had no time here. But something like, I don't know, knight to e3 maybe should have been played. So knight to e3, the idea that if bishop goes away, I have this c4 square. If not, I just grab this bishop with pleasure, then play e6. I have pair of bishops. Well, black has these pawns, okay, but I do believe I can stop them. That is not a big problem. Yeah. All right, but I was close. I was close in any case. Let's go further. Let's go further. Phenomenon is here. Let's play. e4. Had to be faster at that moment, so c4 should have been played just faster. Yeah, and after bishop c4, of course, I didn't want to take on d7. I was about to play something like, let's say, again, knight g4, maybe queen c2, maybe knight d2 followed by knight e4. So I wanted to sacrifice that pawn and just to compensate it with active play, because at very least diagonal h1, a8 opens up, and my bishop also starts playing a role there. Of course, black has bishop d5, but in any case, white definitely has a compensation. There is no question. To stop 3 connected pawns is no problem. Yeah, it's not a problem, because I also have threats on the king side there. You shouldn't underestimate my play. I won't do just the stuff dedicated to stopping those pawns. I will also create some threats there. So come on. So rook up is exchanged. Again, this line that gives me a chance to grab the bishop quickly. I mean, the one on f3, which I find very comfortable thing. Very good one. Okay. So didn't want exchanging queens. Instead, I just prevented black's castling long. By the way, after bishop takes c4, which happened in that game, there was also an interesting idea just to take on c4 to have 2 minor pieces against the rook and 2 pawns, but in that case, there is no this straw bishop on the board. I mean, the one on d5. And that was also interesting to try to attack there on the king side, which was not simple, in fact, with the rook on a1. Okay, so 97. Now I want to play something like e5, just to open up a position slightly, but it's probably not very sound. What could be the best move here for white? Just rook to d1, but then castles. Bishop to a3 looks interesting, and if castles, something like e5 could be very, very annoying. Yeah, so it feels like bishop a3 kind of stops black from castling. Let's see if it is true. B6, okay, preparing c5, right? Preparing c5. So if I want to achieve anything, I have to be quick. So most likely just rook a to d1 should do the trick, because I want to play queen d7, which should be very annoying. And if black castles, then e5 should be a move. So queen e5, rook e1, winning the piece, right? I'm just refreshing my comments here on my tablet. And if queen goes away somewhere, then the question is where? G5, okay, just f4. So 97 drops, I think. So it is a great lesson, by the way, about the importance of bishops. So do not give up bishops so easily. So black played bishop g4, bishop f3, and then took on c3. So here is the punishment. Every chess player must show the respect when it comes to bishops. If you don't do this, well, here's the position you achieve. Okay, so bishop d6, d4. We had this position so many times, I think. Bishop g4, and after d takes e5, black is forced to take on f3, because if bishop e5, I just take on d8 and take on e5. And now I have simply a pawn majority on the king side. And in general, this position should be just already slightly better for white. Queen f6, queen h3, preventing castling, so bishop c3 isn't a move. I think if black wants to play this, knight e7 should be played. So if I play f4, okay, there is bishop d4 check at the very least, and black is ready to castle here, so I think black should be more or less fine. I mean, if I play e5, there is queen f5 move, so, but I have g4, but then c2 drops. Yeah, this should be okay. This should be playable, because white is not ready for this super active play. And white doesn't have this bishop a3, because after bishop c3 and bc3, knight e7, as we may notice, black has serious problems with castling. So castling long is prevented, castling short leads to e5 and losing the minor piece. That's the idea. Okay, let's go further. Artur, hello. Accept black pieces. Playing with black. Playing with black, and here what do we have here? So hybrid variation. So Nimto and Queen's Indian. E3, bishop g5 is the main move. Now we will have a transposition to one of the Akiba Rubinstein variation lines. A3. Well, here I think I will just grab this guy and simply castle. Let's try to exchange this guy immediately. And Artur is not against, because if I take on d3, of course queen takes d3, and there is a e4 possibility. But prior to taking on d3, I will fix this pawns, of course. So this c3 and c4. Ugly pawns, my targets. And my next plan is like, you know, short-term plan. I mean, to play knight c6, knight a5 maybe. Get into c4. Knight g5. All right, let's take on d3. Now h3, h6 makes sense just to get rid of this knight and to reduce white's control over e4 in case of knight f3, for instance. And prevent bishop g5 in advance, because if white at some point manages to play e3, e4, then okay, bishop g5 may become very annoying thing. And knight e4, in my opinion, is not that sound, because first of all, white does nothing to develop the bishop c1. I mean, to play e4 and to improve the perspectives of that guy. Second of all, there is a big risk for white just to play with a stupid bishop against a good knight. So now d5 is one candidate, another is knight to c6. I think knight to c6 is better. Just complete the development and direct my knight to a5 to attack c4. Yeah, and d5 is a mistake, I think, because it fixes the pawn structure, which is good for the side that has the knight, and absolutely sad for the side that has such a bishop on c1. So it is much better to keep the tension in such a situation, usually. All right, let's go to a5, to the edge of the board, but here is my target. That's why knight a5 is completely justified here. So now I have to do something with this queen, maybe, or to move my queen to a6 to attack this c4 additionally. What to do? At the same time, I don't want to close the position completely, maybe, because there will be a risk of not winning it. So c3 is also my target, so I can play queen f6 if I want. Let's start with the rook e8. So want white to define the pawn structure. At least I pretend I created a threat, because I don't think there is a threat after rook e8. So. There was also an interesting idea for me to play f7, f5 instead of rook e8. Then close in position completely after e5, and if e4 then f4 with the advantage in space, and so on. Now white wants to play e4, so maybe now f5 makes even a greater sense to prevent this e4. Yeah, but position of my rook on the 8 doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, rook e8 was a stupid move in general. Now I can win a pawn c4, by the way, by playing g5. But this is of course the risk. So if I play g5, queen goes where? To g3 most likely. Then I can take on c4, or I can start with the queen f6 move and there is anyway no chance for white to protect that pawn. Okay, let's try it. This is super aggressive and probably not necessary, absolutely, because the c4 should drop sooner or later in any case. But looks like a straightforward way of winning the pawn c4. By the way, if queen now goes to e5 or d6 after knight c4, yeah, just attack it. I thought it would be trapped, but no. Not yet, at least. So now it's not possible to protect c4, alright? I can take it right now, I can wait a bit, because there is no defense. I mean, I will take it next move anyway. So I wanted to come up with some prophylactic measures here, because I think that white wants to play e4 to activate the bishop, in which case it would be nice for me to play f4, but it's not possible because bishop takes f4. So maybe I will start with what? With queen f6 or rook f8 here, or maybe even e5. Yeah, e5 looks very good now. Yeah, e5 looks just fantastic. Yeah, I will play e5. So now if e4, I just play f4. No, that was stupid, because in that case, queen goes to d3. Come on. Yeah, I blundered even in this game. Okay. But this is what I wanted to achieve. And now g4. And bishop remains very bad. So white failed to open up diagonals for this guy. It's completely limited. Now if queen d3, I just play rook e4 and then take on c4. All right. Yeah, it's strategically lost, of course. Still have to be careful about opponent's chances there, so prior to doing anything else, I'm just trying to control the h file. So if rook h1, then rook h8. All right. Let's do it. Oh, this is slightly ugly, isn't it? Okay. This is it. All right. So I think the start of white's problems is the move knight to e4 here. Instead, it was better to play knight to f3. Just going back, and e4 is prepared. So if I play d5, which I wanted to do, you can take on d5, and we have something very typical. Of course, it is a great version for black of different classical lines. Because feels like black has a couple of extra tempi if compared to that, but still it is quite playable for white. And well, yeah, there is a weakness of light squares, but there is also a plan of preparing this e4 gradually. There is a4 followed by bishop a3, so it's absolutely playable. Knight to e4 is just incorrect exchange. So after this exchange, first of all, my knight is potentially much better than that bishop. And also this kind of stops you from playing e4, so the move that should be played here 100%. After knight c6, again, d5 is a bad idea. So much better was just to put the queen on d3 and to try to play e4 next move. That's the idea. d5, with the help of d5, it just fixed the pawn structure. Now, there is no longer chance to change the pawn structure on the queen side, so all these pawns, c4, c3, a3, are weak. And this is just a portion of great news for my knight, because knight loves pawn structures like this one. So after knight a5, black is strategically much better. Rook b1. Here rook e8 was a waste of time, 100%, so it was better for me to play f5 immediately. forcing something like, I don't know, queen d3, e5, e4, f4. But I didn't want to close the position completely. That's why I decided not to play this line. But after queen d3, okay, I'm not forced to play e5. I can play something like queen h4. The move that I completely missed somehow. Yeah, so queen h4 is just perfect. I just attack c4. And this probably forces white to play f4, which is great for me long term again, because this bishop remains very, very bad. No, position is not that clear, surprisingly, because I thought it is really easy to win this. And most likely I should have played just this. But queen c8, queen a6 is not an automatic win because of this rook b5 move. So once I play queen a6, there is rook b5. So I guess in this case, after queen d3, queen a6, and rook b5, well, white is still in the game. That's why I was trying to do something else. Rook a8, queen here, just f5. And yeah, most likely, again, queen d3 was a move. Just queen d3, followed by e4. That was the idea. So queen g4 gives me extra tempo. And now after g5, I'm just about to win the pawn. I should have captured this pawn immediately here. And after e4, I should have played something like... I have no idea. Maybe e takes d5. But my e5 was wrong. So after e4, f4, and queen d3, white saves the pawn. In which case, of course, position is very sad. I mean, I have a lot of space. This bishop is completely limited. There is no chance to improve it anymore. But, well, position is absolutely closed at the same time, and it's not clear if I will have a chance to win it. At least very long and boring maneuvering is required to win this one. Maybe in the blitz game it's not that easy. Who knows? But for white, it's also not that simple to play this position because there is nothing to do, right? Okay. So, let's go further. The next challenger is Time Trouble Junkie. Except, oops, my board runs away. So e4. Sicilian. So let's try something different. I mean, knight c3. And this. So I'm trying to play Grand Prix attack. d6. All right. That is, by the way, the most promising approach for black. Exactly this order of moves. When I was younger and played Sicilian myself, I played exactly this against Grand Prix approach. Very nice. Don't know how to obtain the advantage here. There is no advantage, of course, for white, just sort of initiative, something like this. All right, let's see if my opponent knows the theory here. All right, a6 is already a deviation, so I usually prefer knight to f6. Simply. Just knight f6 castling, then knight c6, knight d4. That is the basic approach for black here. Knight to e7. Preparing d5, right? Okay. So the basic idea here is just to prepare the attack on the king side, like queen e1, queen h4, knight g5, at some point f5, and so on. Maybe just f5 right now. That is a typical sacrifice. Want to damage the pawn structure. So I think e takes f5 is actually what I want to achieve, and d6, d5 was better than e takes f5. All right, but I still have to prove that I have anything there. So now I'm just a pawn down, right? Now I'm just a pawn down. So let's go there to the king side. I'm a pawn down, but my bishop is now very cool. There is no longer this d5 threat. I control d5 square. And, well, I have some objects of attack, including f7 pawn, knight on e7, after bishop g5, let's say, and so forth. Okay, so now queen to h4. Yeah, that was probably too quick. I should have captured on f5, of course, instead of queen h4. But anyway, okay. Let's take it. Alright, f6 is playable, of course, but now the bishop on g7 is kind of bad, but maybe not for long. Not for a long time, I think. Yeah, queen h4 was just ugly here. Too fast and not good. It's unclear if I will achieve anything here in this position. Of course, it feels pleasant to play with these active pieces, but if I have a sufficient compensation here or something like that, it's another question. But after f takes e4, I think I do have some chances. Knight to f5. Oh my god. Don't know what to do here. Queen takes b7 isn't possible because my bishop is hanging, so on the other hand, bishop c5 is possible now. What to do? I can start with knight takes e5, but I think bishop takes c5 immediately should be played. Why not? Looks like a healthy pawn. Looks like a healthy pawn. Now I can play queen d5 check. And then bishop takes d6 if necessary. But is it necessary because I lose my dark squared bishop and there will be definitely counterplay. But if I play, for instance, bishop f2 immediately, then queen takes c4. Yeah, I should have captured on d5 prior to taking on c5, I guess. Queen c4. Okay. Now queen b7, rook b8. So almost everywhere black has a counterplay. That's annoying. If I take on e5, queen e4 should be played. Knight takes e4 and then d takes e5. And I have no time. My goodness, I completely forgot about the time. Oh man, that is just amazing. Yeah, so stupid. Yeah, that is just something. I mean, something just amazingly stupid from my side. I don't understand. This position is winning, of course, after this blunder. But I have only 11 seconds. So mission is impossible, I guess. Okay. Extra rook. Yeah. Lost on time, but of course position was absolutely winning. My goodness, how did this happen even? I don't understand at which moment I forgot about the time completely. I have no idea. Or were we playing 3-minute game? I don't know. Yeah. So here after bishop e6 I should have captured on f5. That was my mistake. So I started with this queen h4. But e takes f5 is much better, of course. So if bishop takes f5, there is a problem with the knight d5 potentially, just playing against this knight. Very bad position for black. G takes f5, there is nothing to discuss. Knight takes f5 is not possible, so after bishop c4, dc4, I just have very good position, I guess. Just nice. I achieved what I wanted, so great attacking setup on the king side. And, well, the threat of f6, and so forth. Right, and materially balanced position. Yeah, but okay. Time is a time. Chronic student is the next opponent. Let's play him. $26.98. What the hell is that? Yeah. So what's going on here? Rook to e1. I don't think it is a good idea, because anyway I wanted to put the knight on c5. But let's see. Maybe white has something concrete in mind, because usually Kramnik student plays well prepared in the opening stage. Now we have a transposition to, well, at least in the sense of the strategy, we have a transposition to sort of rook up is exchanged, maybe Berlin, something like that. But e5 is already played, so I have good chances to occupy light squares with comfort. So let's do it. Bishop f5. Just developing the bishop, attacking c2 and so forth. Yeah. 2698. What a crap, huh? I mean, I was 3000s at some point. Many months ago. Can't even remember that times. Okay, what about just taking on c2? I don't understand what he's trying to do. Is it really a Kramnik student? Because not a typical play. Now I can play knight d3 if I want. And then to take on e1. Can be absolutely playable, I mean. Let's try it. All right. Now I can go away with the bishop c2. I think f5 is just a good square to land. Prevent an e6. There is no compensation. There is no compensation whatsoever for white, so that's castle. So it was in May this year when you had 3000s, Andrey. Yep. It was. Let's go there. So pair of bishops, extra exchange. Very good control over central squares and position in general. I don't think that white will survive it unless I blunder something or forget about the time. There are usually some chances to misplay this. Bishop c3 was played. Okay. Now b5. All right. Attacking the knight. Where the knight goes. Now b4. Trapping the bishop. Yeah. So there's nothing to discuss. I think rook e1 was just, yeah, something like a misclick, automatic mistake. Maybe Kramnik student just confused some lines. I don't know, because knight d4 is the most principal move here and the most potentially dangerous one, because rook e1 just forces my knight to c5. I anyway wanted to put the knight on c5. And for bishop c6, d6, I have very comfortable version of all these positions with the exchange on c6. So pawn on c2 is under attack now. My knight on e6 can feel very comfortable if it is necessary, of course. It's a very good blockading position, control of light squares and so forth. So a lot of advantages of playing this position with black. Don't know, but definitely queen f4 was another mistake. Just bishop c2 and yeah. After that, well, I just started collecting pieces. All right, I'm sorry, Kramnik student, you played this way in this game, but well, crap happens, right? I also misplayed a lot of games today, so Okay, star mark. Accept. And again, my board runs away. Oh, 2700s. Wow. I came back. Maybe not for a long time. Okay, so usually I like grabbing this bishop c4, but after knight f3, of course, it's not possible because e5 is hanging. But I can simply play bishop c5, I guess. In which case, we have a transposition to Italian game. In many cases, yeah, just after c3, we definitely have this Italian game. a6 is a move here. h6 now. So bishop g5 and back to e3. Well, maybe not that bad in general. So I can take on e3 and play d5 if I want. But what about just using this position of the bishop on e3 later? I want to keep the bishop on the board. And then I will try to play d5 at some point. And this bishop on e3 will be like feeling not very comfortable, right? After this move, for instance. Of course, it's possible to play bishop c1, but it is all about tempi. Okay. The silver lining is under reached 2700s. Yep. Wish your help. Thank you. Bishop g4 looks very natural after queen moved to c1. So it feels like white is in trouble. So pieces occupy not very natural positions. Black is ahead in development. Potentially, well, right now I can take on e3 and I will have pair of bishops in addition to everything I already discussed. And I think it is not a bad idea. Why not? Let's take it. F takes. Now I guess I can play b5, attacking the bishop, and then take the pawn on d3. Alright? I can't see a flow. Yeah, let's take it. Okay. And now to d7, I think. Let's play aggressively. So extra pawn, pair of bishops. All previous advantages are here. The pawn on e3 is weak. I will also attack it soon. Very pleasant position to play. So now bishop to c5, right? Yeah. Exerting pressure on e3 pawn. Centralization. And probably something like Queen e7 should be played. Just going away from this knight d2 jumps to b3 or maybe to e4 with the tempo. Strange square, but I want to play e4 followed by queen e5 with a checkmate and attack there. Okay, this drops d1 on d1. And now e4 looks good. Just limiting the activity of the knight. And after queen e5, I can't see the way to protect it. Except for g3, but because if rook f4, I just play g5. A lot of extra pieces here. For black. So there is no chance for white to survive it. No chance. Even a single one. So the candidate master, that is my level today, should convert these positions with ease. Queen e2. All right. How to finish this game. f4 is interesting, simple capture on h2 is interesting, but there is nothing. Bishop g3, forcing the rook to g2. And let's start with this. Knight to e5 should be just enough. But I like f4 more, just bringing the rook to the game. But there is bishop g4, come on. Bishop g4, queen to h4, also not dangerous for black. Okay, let's start with the knight e5, just controlling more squares. And now f4. Using all the pieces to attack here. Bringing up all the reserves. Let's take here. And here. And this one is going here. Because if queen takes, then I take on g2 and win. Alright, so I'm not sure that this idea is very good for white. Because h6 is a useful move. Black usually plays h6 anyway. Of course, to prevent bishop g5, sometimes knight g5. So playing bishop g5 followed by bishop b3 doesn't look very inspiring. Moreover, as you saw after bishop e7 and simple d5 at some point, well, this bishop on e3 becomes a target. Of course, it's possible to play bishop c1, as I said during the game, but feels like white just wastes the time, like bishop g5, bishop b3, bishop c1, and so forth. And after queen c1, bishop g4, and this, well, black simply has very pleasant position, especially after f takes e3, I just capture d3 pawn, and so forth. Okay, let's go further, and I think it will be just the last game today. So, PR. Let's just call it this way. Patty Renor. I don't know. I'm sure I just pronounced it not correctly. So let's accept. And Sicilian. Alright, so knight c3 was okay in the previous Sicilian game, but I completely forgot about the time. But in this game, I'm going to play just something normal. Okay, dragon, wow. Okay, Sebi, I will play against you, but against you, it will be definitely the last game, alright? So, rook c8. Bishop g5 is a move, knight to d5 immediately is also an interesting idea. So let's put the knight on d5 right now. And now, just c3. Typical follow-up of knight d5 in this line to limit the activity of the bishop g7, and of course this knight on c6 as well. Knight to e5, also typical sort of thing. So bishop g5 now exerting some pressure on knight f6, and most likely intending to damage the pawn structure after taking on f6. And here we take with the pawn. So the idea is the e-file where the pawn e7 is, and now it is open, and we have some perspectives of exerting pressure on e7. That's why I played rook e1, bishop f1 to have this pressure. Queen b6. Alright, now I can play bishop to e3, but then after queen c7 and bishop takes a7, there will be b6. Not that inspiring. But I can also bring the bishop to d4 square, and once the knight goes away, I exchange dark squared bishops, which is, well, not that bad. So let's try it. Bishop e3. Bishop d4 now. By the way, I can actually initiate this exchange by playing f4 at some point. Will be also not that bad. We'll see. What will happen here? What about just f3? Go back. No. Goes to f5 instead. Alright. What about a4 now? Looks not that bad, right? Because I want to play a5 and then a7 will be hanging 100%. Yeah, and if a6 I have a5. Also creating a new weakness on b6. Now I can take this. Queen d4 check looks very, very tempting. King goes away. I can even exchange on c4 and then to play knight d4. I think I will have a better endgame after that, right? Yeah, so let's do it. Let's take this. I do believe there is a better way to play this with white, but this sort of slight advantage also looks pretty cool. But now I don't think that knight d4 is the best square, because if I play knight d4, there will be something like rook c5 at some point, attacking my d5. Maybe to play just knight to d2, intending to play c4, b4, and so forth. It's also an interesting idea. Or to start with g4, just attacking the bishop and most likely forcing it to d7. Very interesting position to know what is the best way of playing it. Yeah, I'm a little tired now. Okay, let's play g4. Now knight here. Aha. That is something interesting. Indeed. Okay, let's take it. I'm not sure it was a good idea, honestly, for black to exchange this active rook. But, well, white still has to prove that he has anything here. So let's centralize the king. It's oh, f6. This weakens e6 a lot. It's probably not a good idea for black. Well, let's play faster. Let's start with this. Now let's say knight c4. Get into b6. And grab in c8 square. And by the way, there is a shred of c4 trap in the bishop, which forces black to make a move with the rook. Otherwise, I will be just a material up. So extra minor piece after c4. The knight dominates. And pay attention to my pawns. Almost all except for a5 occupy light squares, limiting the bishop. Okay. Now I have to convert it quickly. So, best pawn is almost here. Here we go. My knight does amazing job here on b6. Okay, should I spend the time on this move? I think, yeah. it's important to prevent opponent's counterplay as well. And knight will come back to b6 or c7 soon. And a7. Queen takes. Takes. Yeah. All right. So was an interesting game, but I'm not sure that this queen b6 is sound, because this gives me an extra tempo. So I just maneuver my bishop to d4. Maybe it's not the best position for the bishop, but on g5 it's not easy to prove that it is really useful. Maybe instead of bishop e3 I should have played something like h3 here, covering g4 square in advance, and then trying to prepare f4 at some point. So for example, in many cases after h3 I have a sort of like playing bishop e3 and then f4. Maybe that was the better way of playing it. But bishop e3 was also quite natural. So now once the knight goes away, just take on g7, and in a vast majority of cases we have this material relation, right? So I have knight against the bishop, and this bishop doesn't have objects of attack. I mean this bishop d7. Sometimes it is an interesting idea for white to come up with the knight against the bishop g7, which is also quite good because bishop g7, well, it's seriously limited with b2, c3 pawns. All right. So the bishop g4, bishop f5, a4, a6. I expected something like knight c4 immediately, maybe, but this leads to more or less the same. Here, after this, everything was just forced. And I played g4 just because I didn't want to give black a chance to play this. Rook to c5, in which case knight takes f5, g takes f5 leads to a rook endgame, which is not clear because black's rook c5 is really cool, attacking both d5 and a5. And here I can't protect d5. That's why I decided to start with the g4, just to get rid of the bishop. The idea was that instead of knight d4, I wanted to play this. And after rook c5, I wanted to play c4. In which case, bishop d3 was kind of possibility for black, maybe. Just to attack c4. Maybe not immediately after some preparation. But I thought it would be good for me to start with g4, because if bishop goes to d7, well, now if I play knight d2, rook c5, c4. So black played rook a4, but what if rook c5? So if I play c4, there is no bishop d3, and my pawns start actually limiting this guy seriously. So I will put my pawn on h3, another one on b3, or maybe on b4. You know, I will definitely start with the b3 here, and it will be quite annoying for black to play in this position. So if pawn e7 moves, then knight e4 is almost everywhere a very annoying thing to mate. Yeah. So I like my position here. So knight is definitely much more useful piece here. So this bishop is quite passive, while my knight can go almost anywhere over the board, creating some threats, something like that. But okay, good game. And the last one against Sebi. So it's getting dark outside. It's time to sleep. So, bishop b5, rule of this. All right. Just a real deal. c3. Okay. So usually here I just come up with this setup. I mean, at some point white will play d4 anyway. And we'll have sort of transposition to the main line. If white will include h3 move, let's say, then it's not clear why d3 was played in general. So it's a better idea for white to avoid playing h3, but maybe in this position I can use it and play bishop g4. No, in this case just d5, and I achieve nothing. Alright, so let's keep playing the normal way. Knight a5, then after bishop c2 just c5, undermining the center, and so on. So in this position, white usually has a choice between closing the center after d4, d5, or just keeping tension, or even playing, I don't know, d4 takes e5, or d4 takes c5, which leads to the same position. In that case, the plan is to bring the knight to d5 quickly. But in this particular case, I don't think that de5 or dc5 offers white anything. So I guess the most natural thing is just to play d5, close in the center, enjoying some advantage in space. So playing something very typical for Ruy Lopez. h3, okay, so we'll have a transposition, I bet. We'll have a transposition, not even a transposition, because now I have an extra tempo if compared to normal Ruy Lopez line. Because white played d3, d4 instead of playing d4, which should be just good for me. Okay, let's play queen c7. Maybe it's not a big deal, in fact, because, well, position remains closed and, well, this extra tempo, I'm not sure I will seriously benefit from it. Okay. So why knight to c4? Because white was about to play b2, b3, limiting my knight. And in this case, knight usually has big problems with activating. That's why knight c4, in order to have the possibility to bring it to b6, also not the greatest position, but at least not that bad if compared to the position on b7 or even d8. Okay, this probably prepares f4. Well, f4 is not the case right now, I guess. So let's play g6. Preventing knight to f5 and preparing bishop to g7. If necessary. Okay, knight went back to f3. Then no, let's play bishop g7. low energy. Sorry for that. That was just very, very tough week, as I already said before. Really tough one. Okay. So c4, a5 are candidates. Let's play a5. And then a4. Queen d2, h6 is hanging. Let's protect it with the king h7. Position is closed. It's not clear how white is going to play because, well, to prepare f4, white needs to come up with a great preparation. It will take time. While I have very clear plan here on the queen side, so I can play on the a file. Most likely just playing rook a6, rook a8, something like this. So let's do it. Let's try it. Bishop d3. This gives me a chance to play c4. If I want, I probably do. Let's try it. Okay, rook takes. Takes on c4. Now I have pair of bishops. My task is to activate my dark squared one at some point. But first, we have to fight for dark squares with the queen, because my bishop is out of play currently. So queen c5 is a useful move, controlling e3 and exerting pressure on f2. Potentially very annoying thing. Now another important inclusion, a3. Grabbing b2 square and making a2 a weakness. And now, what to do? I can put my knight on h5 if I want, but I'm not sure I achieve anything there, so let's just penetrate. By the way, creating this nice threat, knight takes e4. Is it a good idea? Bishop takes e4, rook takes d2, rook takes b8. No, it's not very cool. Bishop a4 is a chance. Yeah, let's play bishop a4. But bishop a4 the same, like bishop takes a4, rook takes d2, rook takes b8. But then knight takes e4 and probably f2 drops. Now let's try this. This looks interesting. And now knight e4 should work. Alright. After simple capture on c2. And now knight takes e4. Yeah, comfortable position. Now this simple deflection from f2 square. Oops, sorry. First this, and then takes f2 with the checkmate. Okay, so interesting game, but white actually came up with the wrong thing. So, well, if you play d3 in Ruy Lopez, of course you have to avoid h3. That is one of main points. So you just save the time on this h3 move, because it's not necessarily a good idea in the vast majority of positions. So in some positions you can just come up with the pawn on h2, not to spend the time on this move, I mean. So here, for example, h3 wasn't necessary in my opinion. It was better to try something like b3, maybe just limiting the activity of my knight a5, potentially just developing the bishop on b2. Most likely just keeping this tension in the center. That was probably quite promising. So to h3 we have just the same position like in the main line, but I have extra tempo. Queen c7 is most likely not the best. move. Maybe rook c8 was slightly better to know. Maybe even just b4 here. Also an interesting plan, just possible. Queen to c8 was slightly more flexible, also intended to take on h3 in some lines. This sacrifice can work. Immediate knight c4 was also absolutely possible here. So I think black is fine here. After d5, knight c4, knight h4 is just a waste of time. So here I believe white can try something like b3, knight b6, then bishop to e3. That is a typical play. And then at some point knight goes to d2, not to h4, to d2. And then, well, you will see. For example, if I go wild here, I mean aggressive, like c4, you can definitely try something like b4, let's say. No, this doesn't look very good, because I'm just ready to play a5. Okay, so knight to d2. Yeah, that is about this tempo. So usually after this, white has one more tempo to play this knight d2 himself, and black c4 is no longer that simple because this pawn will be hanging there. Here I'm just in time to do everything. Yeah, so I think I'm fine 100%. Yeah, just a tempo. Remember this. If you play with the d3, not the d4, not the main line, then probably h3 is not a good idea. Slightly later, when white played this knight h4, knight f3 back, of course I've prepared everything carefully. And here after a5, I guess a4 is the best try. So in this case, if I play b4, then c4, closing everything. If I take on a4, takes on a4, yes, there is a weakening of the c4 square, but if I play knight c4, all right, bishop goes to c1, and then gradually white will just kick this knight away from c4. So there is no big problem with this. But if you give me a chance to play a4, I just grabbed the initiative for sure. So I just played this a4, and now, well, in my opinion, there is a fight for two results only, because white lacks the space here. I simply have more space already. It feels like that. I have this simple play of just doubling rooks along the a file. Potentially I will have a plan of playing f7, f5, and so forth. So, okay. Queen e1, rook a6, bishop d3 is another help. So I just play c4. The move that I didn't play before because of b3, b4 possibility, but here it is a tempo move, and bishop b6 is another mistake because it just gives up very important dark square bishop. So after this, I just control the whole board. It's not even about this bishop at the moment, it's just about giving up the control of dark squares. So all dark squares are now mine. That's the problem. So the rest is just very simple conversion, like a3, rook b2, and so forth. Black's pieces are simply better. All right. So thanks a lot for being with me this night. Sorry for this technical problems at the very beginning. I think we all forgot about this already because I played not very good chess throughout the show. So we were mainly focused on that. And, well, excuse me for actually losing on time in several games. I do hope that next week everything will be more or less balanced, and I will come back to a better play than today, because today I'm just not satisfied, absolutely. But I'm happy that you actually beat me, and this at least improves your mood. And yeah, makes you happy maybe. So that is also one of the ideas of this show, right? Not only to teach you something new. Yeah, I wish you all the best during this weekend, and see you very soon next week. Bye bye.